Good comment from Trevor in George. I don't know if that's the right thing to say, actually. I just read the emails that come
Jay
here.
Leno's following us.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
From Trevor in George. He says, enough. And I don't think he's talking about George. He says, what about good debt?
Yeah.
Take us through that, guys, please.
Okay, great.
Okay, there is such a thing as good debt.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about good debt. Okay,
Right.
I'll go straight into good debt. Good debt, everybody needs to get into debt. Nobody can afford to buy a home for cash.
Okay.
Very few people.
Well, there are some. I mean,
yeah.
Patrice Motsepe.
Right, okay, but most of us,
Yeah.
I can't afford that. So you've got to take out a loan.
Right.
Now, that's good debt. If you, definition of a good debt is borrowing money to buy an asset that will appreciate in value, and that you're going to pay back over a period of time that is not going to be longer than the useful life of the asset. Now, it might sound a bit Chinese, but what I'm saying though is that if you get into debt to buy a meal on your credit card,
How do you get into debt to buy a meal?
if you're using your credit card to go out to dinner,
Okay.
and dinner costs $500,
Okay.
and at the end of the month you get your credit card statement, and you pay the minimum balance on your credit card, the 5% minimum balance that it asks you to pay.
Okay.
In effect, you're paying your dinner off over 2 years. Because by paying 5% of your minimum balance on
No,
your
wait,
credit card, it
hang
takes
on.
you 2 years to pay it off.
No, you're kidding me.
No, that's how it works.
So you're paying your dinner off over 5 years?
Over 2 years.
Two
Yeah,
years?
by paying the 5% minimum installment on your credit card.
Yeah. Today
So you've taken out a personal loan for your dinner.
for your dinner.
Yeah. So that's not good debt, and that's common sense.
Yeah, okay.
You're taking longer to pay off your purchase than you've enjoyed it. Now, a home is going to last for more than 20 years.
Right.
So it's fine to borrow money to buy a home. A car should last more than 4 years. So it's fine to buy a car as long as you're funding it over, say, 4 years ideally. You know, you can be tempted to fund it over 7 years with a balloon residual payment. That's risky business, which we might be able to get into if we've got enough time on this show.
But now, is this is now the whole thing of leveraging your debt, isn't it?
Yes, well, leveraging is if a good example would be a home loan.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what banks are looking for when they're lending you money is, do you have a deposit to put down on the home?
Okay.
And they're looking at your credit record. And be aware of your credit record before you apply for your home loan. So Trevor in George wanted to get into good debt, possibly getting a bond from a bank. Trevor, I'd strongly encourage Trevor to get hold of his credit record. You can do that for free from either Experian, www.experian.co.za, or TransUnion, www.transunion.co.za. Get hold of your credit record. So before you go to the bank and apply for your loan, you know that it's a good credit record, because just over 50% of home loans have been declined because the computer looks at your credit record, and even if you're 1 month in arrears, it'll chuck you out.
Kick you out.
Yeah. So clean up your credit record before you even apply, have a deposit, and then negotiate the interest rate on the home loan. And
Now,
don't get the home loan over 30 years.
Let's go into negotiation, because that is a vital part of this, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And the banks are open to,
Yeah,
lenders are open to
Well,
negotiation.
the banks they'd like to lend you money. If you're good credit risk, they'd love to lend you money because they're going to make money out of you. You know, a bit after the 2008 bubble bursting of the credit bubble bursting, credit criteria have tightened up a bit. So yeah, but at the end they'd love to lend you money if you're good credit risk, but you can negotiate. For example, credit cards. Currently, the maximum interest rate that can be charged on a credit card is 22%.
That's a heck of a lot of money.
Yeah, well, the maximum on a personal loan is 32%, which
On
is
a personal loan.
personal loan. Yeah,
You see, these are numbers that I wasn't even aware of.
and they're negotiable.
So hang on. We're in the wrong business. Because we can borrow money and pay it back at what? If we're sharp together.
Say 9%.
9%.
At prime. Yeah.
And we can lend it to somebody at 32.
Yes.
Okay, cheers, I'm out of here. No, yeah. Hey?
Yeah.
But that's ridiculous. Are those then people who are absolutely desperate for money and are going to the last possible source of credit?
you'll find that a lot of customers will go to their bank for a personal loan, and the bank may well. We're not talking loan sharks here. We're talking big banks.
Are we talking institutions?
Yeah, absolutely. But these are regulated by the National Credit Act through the National Credit Regulator. Those maximum rates are regulated. And a good example, a car loan. The maximum monthly service fee that it can be charged in terms of the law is 50 Rand plus VAT. It's 57 Rand. You will see every single car loan advertised. Well, advertised is you buy this lovely car, your monthly repayments are going to be so much, which includes the service fee of 57 Rand. Now that service fee is not an obligatory service fee. That's just a maximum service fee. So the banks aren't obliged. Don't let a bank ever tell you, I've got to charge it. It's an NCA fee. It's not an NCA fee. It's just the NCA saying, if you choose to charge a service fee, it's 57 Rand. But they're not obliged to charge it. There's furniture retailers who don't charge a service fee at all.
How do you find out this information?
Listen to a wonderful program like this.
Stop it now.
Just being aware. There's plenty of financial education consultants like myself running workshops. There's plenty of us out there. Get your company to bring in, book a morning workshop. Get your staff on a morning workshop. Read books. There's a wonderful quarterly magazine brought out called Personal Finance. There's a lot of stuff in there. Let's
just come back to you. Mm-hmm. That's what you do, isn't it? You
financial education workshops.
But you do it for corporates.
Yeah.
So you'll go into a corporate and sit down with their staff and explain to them how they possibly have got themselves into a situation and how they could try and extricate themselves from that situation.
Yeah, what I'm trying to do though is trying to prevent people getting into an over-indebted situation. Mm-hmm. And my real mission in life is to help people create wealth for themselves. So the workshops is two-pronged. It's saying, right, if you've got a debt problem, this is how you can get yourself out of it. But also, if you're looking to invest, and I'll give people guidelines as to these are the kind of questions you need to ask your financial advisor before you get sold something you don't really need in terms of investing and saving and retirement planning. This is a subject maybe for another show. Less than 5% of South Africans can afford to retire.
Well, there's I think week after next, we've got a guy also from your hometown, from Cape Town, mm-hmm. Stephen Nathan, coming into the studio.
Right.
Who what he's doing is he's looking at costs mm-hmm. in retirement planning and saying, if you cut the costs out, you suddenly see how much more money you're earning over time, because the costs that are built in mm-hmm. and also having active managers running funds is not necessarily doing any better than a passive fund is doing. Mm-hmm. So we'll come. Thank you for that. Okay. We'll come back to that in 2 weeks' time. The percentage, you came up with this number of about 40% of debt.
Yes, I'm saying of your monthly income after tax.
After tax.
So just you got your pay slip, take off the Pravin Gordham's his cut.
Well, not so much of a little cut. And that reminds me, we've got somebody coming in from SARS next week as well. It's that time of the year where we get to that other 4-letter word that's a bit of a swear word, SARS. So we'll be talking about tax next week.
All right, so take off the tax.
Yeah.
What you're left with is the money you can spend on living expenses, mm-hmm. on financial expenses such as insurances and pension contributions, medical aid contributions, and then your debt. And hopefully savings. The debt portion shouldn't be more than 40%.
How much should we be putting, and I know we're not, mm-hmm. how much should we be putting into savings, retirement annuities, instruments that ensure that when we're older, we have a lifestyle that we're accustomed to now, if we want to be comfortable? How much of that disposable income should we be putting into that?
Well, there's a rule of thumb, which will be interesting in 2 weeks' time to chat with Stephen. A rule of thumb says if you put away 15% of your retirement funding income for 35 years. Mm-hmm. Now, that 15% is often a combined contribution from your employer, who puts away 7.5%, and you who put away 7.5%.
Right.
If you put away 15% for 35 years, you will have built up enough retirement savings to buy yourself a decent pension. Okay. So that's the key number, 15% into your retirement savings. I would recommend 5% of your income into savings, discretionary savings. for that rainy day, for that emergency,
Okay.
for the flat screen TV and so on.
Right.
35% of your income, living expenses, school fees, groceries, entertainment, having fun, spoiling yourself, which is
Right.
what it's all about. Everybody works very hard. As
You
long
want
as
to
you're living
actually
within
do
your
it.
means, enjoy it. Of course, enjoy
Yeah.
it. On the debt side of things, 25 to 35% on your bond
Mm-hmm.
or rent. If you don't have a bond, obviously that expense is a rental expense.
Yeah.
So 25 to 35% on the bond. And the balance, credit card, personal loans or car loan. And the unfortunate thing in South Africa is that people are spending 17% on average on repaying their car debt because they're buying a car that they
Way out of their means.
way out of their league. Yeah.
It's like all of our ministers.
Well, they get nice car allowances, so maybe they can afford it.